Is there anybody in here? Just nod if you can hear me. I can't see you, so it doesn't really matter if you're nodding. Like, I mean, you should probably like say something, give a wave or something. I don't know. I didn't think that far ahead. I'll be honest with you. It's not, you know. I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is. Alright. Oh, come on. You're going to be a pain in the ass about this? Come on, dude. Alright, sorry. I'm just getting the last bit of the setups. Alright, get that going. Alright, now we're cooking. Alright. So, let's see what we got going on. We're close to finishing this guy. There's just something, I'm not 100% sure where, that I'm not quite thrilled with. And I'm just going to figure out how I got to get what I want to get out of it. Give you guys some updates, though. A very close family friend for very many years, a former student of my father, used to babysit me as a kid. Purchased the view of the pond at John Heinz John Heinz Nature Reserve, and sorry, the music was like so loud in my head. I'm like, wait, I can't think anymore. I'm trying to think, but nothing happens. So that's just, I'm incredibly grateful. I mean, I can't even describe how much it means. It's really cool. She was showing me today as I dropped it off that she actually has a bunch of other paintings she's collected, and I was actually, it was really cool. She's got some Gustave Madeleine. It's probably Madeleine. My French is terrible, but really nice stuff. It's really pretty paintings, and now I'm part of that collection. That's pretty amazing. The plus of what that means to you guys too, hopefully, it will actually have a benefit for you as my viewers, is that hopefully with the money from that and from the from this commission, I will have a better camera here. I have the camera, it's just I need a capture card to make it work. So, just a little bit of time, just a little patience, and we'll be good to go, man. I got a little Canon, records on SD cards or whatever normally, but I believe all I need is the capture card to get it to read by my computer here, and we will have like at least a decent camera. That my plan is to put it actually not on this tripod anymore, on this little tiny piece of crap one I had. We're going to move that actually onto the shelf here where my lantern figures might need to move a little bit. They'll sacrifice for the greater good. And then from that point, that gives me a little more fluidity in what I can pull off. And I'll see if I can do some new arrangements with getting it so that maybe this is like more direct onto here or something. We'll be able to play around with it though. I've got some ideas and I think they'll work. But it's I mean, the main thing is to have a camera that gives a better video quality so you guys can actually see the painting, and preferably one that does not constantly lose focus, or if it does, at least maybe I can control the focus straight from here without having to try to manually readjust it. And I was playing with the camera itself a little bit last night, and I was trying to get it to work with the computer because I do have an HDMI input, so I thought maybe that would be enough, but it looks like I do need to get the capture card to make it work fully. But like I said, I'm halfway there. I was even saying, I think in the last stream or 2 streams ago, that I was planning to use this money to get the camera, and then I would find out if I needed the capture card. So now I know I need the capture card, and we'll be good to go. I could technically do it, you know, it's just that if I do it now, I won't have enough to get the paints I need. So I need to get some paints very shortly, and I need, yeah, I can't really wait too much longer on them. On the dome! On the dome, baby! You're what? Rusted. Baby, that's where it's at. And a kissing, a dancing, and a loving at the Love Shack. But it was really nice. Me and my son went over to drop the painting off. Because I had on there, like, I have on, if you guys look on my, I should put it up there, shouldn't I? Official site. I'm supposed to do this beforehand, but if you guys go there, you still see the image of it. I took it off the ability to buy it because it was already bought. It's funny how I do that. Technically, the PayPal would have taken care of it too, but I like to be proactive. Because I did have that happen accidentally once, where somebody tried to buy one of the pages of the League of Extraordinary Stupid Gentlemen that had already been sold. And so I had to say, sorry, here's your money back. Not bad. But I have $50. This is like a blank for shipping. That's just kind of a flat generic cost. Truth be told, it's a little more expensive than that to ship if the shipment that I did the one painting was any key. And that was like $100 and some odd. But I figure it's a good ballpark balance of 50. And it may have been that much because I told the lady, like, I don't know, it's like $300 for this painting. I don't know, like the person that was sent as a gift, and I didn't realize a gift. Technically, to me, it was returning it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I wanted to joke with the lady to be like, I don't know, it could be worth like $4 million in the future. Who knows? Probably not. Could be worth 10 Bazooka Joe packets for all I know. And now the young kids on Twitch are going, what the hell's Bazooka Joe cartoon? What is he talking about? Damn it, you already went fuzzy, didn't you? Freaking piece of crap camera. I'm telling you, man, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good when that thing's gone. Alright, I'm just looking to see if it makes any... I know it seems weird that I actually, especially with this one, I'm finding a lot of... You got that wind in there? See? Ooh. Anyway. One thing I always like about Impressionist painting in general is the whole idea that, like, you know, you look at it up close and it's nothing but a bunch of, like, seemingly meaningless random marks slapped all over, you know? And then you step back and, oh, there's a painting, you know? And it's one of those things that, again, it's one of the reasons I say that even as good as, say, some of the online viewing programs are for, like, say, the Metropolitan Museum of Art or the National Galleries, where you can really zoom in and get up and close with them to a degree. Yeah, you still lack some texture noticeability, but I love that idea, though, that, like, I think I showed it on the one thing we did about aesthetics. or I've talked about and just didn't get over there. But there's a Monet that is at the National Gallery. I think it's the National Gallery. I'd have to go back and look at the episode again. But it was like, you know, you look at it and you just, like I said, if you're looking at the painting, it's a beautiful painting, you know, it's nice. I think it was a winter scene, if I remember correctly. You know, but it's all sorts of nice landscape area, you know. And then if you zoom all the way in, it's just, it looks like a bunch of random strokes. You have no idea what it would be if you were that close to it. I want it to be good. Be like George, ain't that funky kinda hard on you? I was hard when it started, gonna be hard when I get through. Buzz be like George, ain't that funky kinda hard on you? It was hard when I started, gonna be hard when I get Anybody looking kinda hard on you? It was hard when it started, gonna be hard when I get through. George, is that funky kinda hard on you? It's hard when I started, gonna be hard when I get through. I like George, ain't that funky kinda hard on you? It's gonna be hard when I started, gonna be hard when I get through. Started. Now, right before I came over here to get on, you know, online stuff, we were actually over at my parents' house for dinner, which is pretty much a standard thing for us. It's like every other Sunday. And my kids decided that this would be an excellent time to be complete and utter terrible monsters. And so it occurred to me, I posted on my my personal Facebook page, that if there is such a place as hell, when my kids get there, and as I said to my wife, let's be honest with their behavior, that's where they're going. I said I give the devil about 3 hours before he retires. He doesn't even retire, he just quits. Thank you, Dr. Beast. Thank you. Thank you. Lurking's fine. I kind of almost like, it's not, I don't know whether to be considered lurking or not, but like, sometimes some of the people I follow here, they go online during the day when I'm at work, and I can't watch them there. It's literally blocked at work. So what I'll do is I'll use my phone to control my home computer, and I turn it on, so like at least they can get a view out of it. Like I can't really watch them that way because it'll destroy my data. You know, so it's like, but at least it's like it registers, you know. Sometimes a little stuff like that even on here helps. You know, since it triggers like a, you know what, like you can't get subscriptions until you have 50 followers and an average of 3 viewers per episode or whatever. Like, so I'm like, alright, well look, I can't actively watch, but at least the computer would think that I'm watching, you know? I don't know. Usually I let them know too, though. Like, hey, I'm watching, but I'm not really watching, so you can't really talk to me about it. I've said many times, see, I see my influence with Vincent to be more of one, like, I consider myself like his apprentice, separated unfortunately by several, you know, a little over, what, probably 100 and, let's see, he would have been 165 this year, right? So, well, 125 years. Oh no, I guess, let's see, he was 37 when he died, right? or 38. I think he just turned 38. So 140 years, roughly. But it's something that I know there's something I need to find here still. And once I get it, I can kind of start working on something else. Not necessarily walking away from it, but manipulating it into something new. If that makes sense. But I haven't quite gotten what I wanted yet. It's important that I find it first. I'll know it when I hit it. That I am the one terminated son. Alright. Like I said, I do like though, I was saying this earlier and I got distracted. I wasn't thinking. I started talking about something else. But the whole idea about going close and zooming out, like blurring your eyes a little bit, like this kind of, small version of this that I can look at on the screen here actually seems to help me out, seeing how I like so I'm just trying to make sure my information is all updated properly. Okay, good. Update. Good. All right. But it helps me like see it. I'll see if I wasn't streaming, if I wasn't tied especially to this headset stuck on my head and I can only go so far back, I'd probably be heading to the back of this room right now just to see this as a whole, to give me a view of it that I can't get sitting right on top of it like this. But having a small little preview window up here kind of does that for me. It's giving me an idea of what it looks like, from that distance, blocked out a little bit, and seeing how I squeeze my eyes a little bit, just squint a little bit, and it lets me see the contrast. It lets me see, where I might want to push a little more or what. It's if you're painting and you're not, like I said, stuck on a stream like this or whatever, most certainly step back as much as you can. If you can, every now and then flip your canvas. Turn it to the side. Turn it upside down. I mean, obviously, if it's a really, really big canvas or something like that, you can't do it. But, yeah, if you're working on a smaller thing, drawing especially, we learned a long time ago, it was actually my, like, senior art class. Yeah, they'd have us all draw around in a table together, and, like, the people across from us, you know, and I'm saying us like I'm Golem, but like the people, you know, across from the other side, it's usually like me and my friend Davin on one side, or my friend Mike or something, and whoever's sitting on the other side could always seem to point out things that could use work a lot easier. And it's just one of those things where, you know, you're when you're into it, you're here a lot of times. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes it helps to be over there. Or up here, you know, looking down or whatever, however you're going to do it. It's just worth mentioning. Those who could think we'd be best without the drink. Don't be near the quarter. So what's right with eyes? Things our lives. If everyone was only drinking water. Be no more houses, no rush to take the spouses. Right. No visions, no inevitable decisions. Susie's probably coming home too late. So it's time to take a stand. You can pry my beer from my cold dead hand. Raise 'em up and drink 'em down. Drink 'em down, raise 'em up and drink 'em down. From the laughters, no bleary morning afters. Don't have strangers to a fight. You know, getting Brucey choir. You know, the home man tucked up for the night. The dead, we couldn't wet the baby's head. I'm chasing right to be. It's to go out and have a pee. So brothers, sisters, it's time to take a stand. You can pry my beer from my cold dead hand. Raise 'em up and drink 'em down. Drink 'em down, yeah, raise 'em up and drink 'em down. I saw Gaelic Storms coming around again, pretty close, and I was going to ask the wife if she wanted to go again. It's like, it might be too much for her. She didn't mind when we saw him at the Celtic Festival at the Renaissance Fair, because there's lots of booze there that, you know, the quiet brew house and stuff that they have there, you know. Send a boy equator would be in about and living on the door. Depends upon libations, where it seems it's worth its weight in gold. Perhaps about the odds. Save the human race. The preacher of the world. So, brothers, sisters, it's time to take a stand. You can pry my beer from my cold dead hand. Raise 'em up and drink 'em down. Yeah, raise 'em up and drink 'em down. Can pry my beer from my cold dead hand. There's something right there I want to fix. It's right in here. There's like just a slight gap. Just needs a little more flushing out. Pride as a king of literature, I'm very ape and very nice. If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to ask someone else first. I'm too busy acting like I'm naive. I've seen it all. I was here first. Out of the ground. Yeah, that did it much better. Just I wanted to unify like that little area there, so it's got a nice little like little lumpy lump. You know what I mean? I think we're there. The sky at least. It might be one of those things that there was a part during the Bridget Terrarium farms that I was working on that I hit it and I was like, you know what? There may be more to do, but I can't make that decision now. And that's one of those things where you start doing out the, start flushing out the rest of this, and you start going, well, this balance here is wrong, and I gotta put this in first, and then it'll feel fine. And I think that's where I'm at right now. That it needs to, the background here needs to breathe a little. The trick of this, unfortunately, is unless you're like a master paint mixer, and I am not, you may mix up something that's sort of close, and then you're going to have to play with it because they're going to be like, okay, well, it's sort of close, but now it's a little variant, so now I got to put a little variant over here to make it all find itself. So I think that's it for that now. And then let's see, I guess we keep building, preferably from the back up. So we're looking now, I think, in these little trees back here, and probably working towards the barn. And that way we'll start to pull out like this way. His tattoo. He's in the music business. He is calling you dude. Do yours tomorrow and tomorrow today. Is that still wet? That's still wet. Good. And he's behind. So we're gonna need some of that, and we will need your party. He is calling you dude. Now do you believe in the one big sign, the light shine on the boot heels of your mind? Now this is the same oxide chrome here, but I want to make it a little separate because there's some of that blue mixed in, and I don't want to really get that too heavily involved. It could take it over in a way I don't want it to. Alright, let's see what we got. I need that one, actually. That is the one. That is the one I wanted. Hey, look at that. The wacky morning DJ says democracy's a joke. He says, now do you believe in the one big sign? These better 15 callers like to sing along. Do you believe? And stepping towards the ledge. He is in your food. He is in accepting others. He is calling you dude. Another one I like, this yellowish green. I don't usually have to add medium to that because it's always like nice and fluidy. It's just like an extra pinch of linseed oil in that tube. Gotta find you if you ever lose your way. We got really no religion. We're building it bigger. Helps to have the reference photo nearby so you can actually look at it. This is why I can't wait. I won't. I'll let you guys know something else though. It hasn't come in yet. I ordered the new camera. Like I said, and that came in. But like I said, I need the capture card. I also ordered a boom stand. So hopefully it works with this piece of shit and I can make it work. I might have to do some disassembly and reassembly, but I think it'll pull off and do what I want it to do. So this way, I'm not worried about this table here holding the mic, and I'm not worried about this little shitty table trying to hold the mic, and I know that ain't gonna work. So slowly but surely, this stream will be getting better. by hook or by crook, I swear to God I will get this thing to get up to par soon. This I can't do anything about. This is just going to be shit all the time. But at least the ability to see the shit. And look, I know I have friends that like, no, your stuff's good. No, your stuff's good. And like, you have to understand that it's important to me to believe my stuff is shit. And I know that seems counterintuitive to a degree, but it's like, it keeps me working. As long as I'm under the belief that what I make is garbage. And I can't say that it is that feeling now for this, or it is that feeling like right after I finish it. Usually when I finish a piece, I feel a little proud of it. Depends. I mean, there are some that I go, okay, this was a mistake. But it's important not to stay too in love with anything you've worked on for very long. I mean, there's some I can acknowledge as more important pieces, I guess, when it comes to like my total catalog. I think that holds true certainly for anything that falls under the first I'd say the first year back from painting, like anything from March 2017 to December 2017, definitely falls under these are a little more important to me and overall to my artistic career. You know, simply because, like, say if you look at, say, like my tulips that I did, the first painting back, like that was, you know, a lot of pent up stuff that had to come out, you know, and it was important that I take those first few steps back into creating. The John Heinz one that I sold just yesterday. Like, that's about stepping back into, again, this idea of, first off, it was a lot about duality. If you look at the sky and the water, you know, reflecting and how they echo each other. But about, you know, getting back out into a natural world more often. You know, I find myself, and it's unfortunately gotten bad again at work because we moved the office and we're no longer near a natural pathway like we were, but about making sure that I am not, you know, stuck in that office mindset, you know, that I find my way outside. Strangely, even when I'm not outside, like when I can't. Again, if I'm in the office, look, there's nowhere to go where I am now. There's no path to walk. There's nothing to do. Like, we are in basically what was probably at one point just a series of warehouses. That's what it looks like. That they're converting into offices. I mean, ours is literally, if you looked at the inside of my office, you'd think it was just a warehouse. Because, you know, that's like the new thing. So, but to make sure at least here, you know, up in the head, I keep forgetting you don't have a camera on me anymore. I guess I have the old one, but I figured it was more important to watch this stuff. Anyway, he's off again. And then after the John Heinz was the cave, which I think, as I said before, I have the feeling I'm going to be doing more caves at some point. As soon as I have the freedom and time to really dig through my like the photos we took on our family vacation. I think there's something there that I can use. Because that run really does feel different compared to anything that I've ever really seen. And so I'd like to explore that a little more. It was interesting to try to convert something, an artistic style that's pretty much created entirely for capturing bright landscapes to converting it to a dark cave, that is lit artificially inside, but I found that very interesting. And so I think that'll be coming through again. And then let's see, what did we do after that? Then was a study. I think the first one was a study of Saint Michael and Brother Leo meditating on death, which did not come out as well as I'd like it to have done. But I think there was some experimentation in there. So if you were saying out of the first year, I'd say that's probably the least of import for that first year's worth of work. Just because it's not as strong. But then beyond that was the St. Michael defeating the devil. And that one just was like, I could have slept through that one, it felt like. It was so good. Like I shouldn't say that. It behaved so good. And I gotta turn this down. I really am blowing up the mic, aren't I? Like it, definitely was like, there we go, that's a little better, right? Maybe a little more higher. There we go. But it just kind of flowed out. It had no real struggle during it. And that's a lot to do with Delacroix, more than it is me, I'm sure. 'Cause just all I had to do was sort of follow his patterning, crank up the saturation a little bit to match my stuff, and then just make the brush strokes a lot fatter, and it worked. Then was the Hiroshige piece, Asaka Tombo Tori no Machimut. And that was one that was just like, that was a piece where I think, again, I've said it was, the idea behind it was much more about, like, look, I was searching for things at that time, I'd gone through the bad breakdown, and I had gone through, trying to rebuild myself a little bit, and part of that is trying to find spots where, here's something to look forward to keep myself moving. And so I look at that and I see, I'm the cat. I'm looking out at Fujisan and I want to get there and I want to see it. But, right now I'm kind of pulled back from it, but I'll get there, if I keep the goal of getting there in my head, and I got a better shot of it, Alright, we're going to have to rework this one. Forget that. This yellowish green is always a pain in the ass. I love it. It's a beautiful color, but it usually needs a little reworking. Like, it doesn't want to take over. Just sort of wants to try to fall back, and it's like, no, I want you to be a little more poppin' than that. So you have to kind of like go on a little hard, and then you got to pull it back, and you got to pull it in, and you got to pull it back. And I guess there goes my potential endorsement deal with the Van Gogh paint yellow screen. You know what else we need? We need, is that medium? Yeah, it's medium. We're not going to need a lot of this, but we're going to need it in places. I'm going to have it out. Not here. We'll need it later on, but for these parts. To be as like a little bit of a touching midpoint. Just enough to give it a little. And then I'm going to put that one down for a sec. Need you. Hey look, a creeping kid. From a movie, The Creeping Kid. Huh, me? Alright. Anybody else talking? Who's there? Start getting all paranoid in here. Like, who's there? Do I know you? Does my ex-wife send you? How do I know you're not the FBI? See, that's funny because it's a reference back to the old Ren and Stimpy episodes, and John K. is a pervert. I don't know why that's funny. The man is perverted, though. Admittedly, now, I mean, he's extra perverted because he's like, there was all sorts of creepy stuff with, like, underage girls and stuff with him. But, not in the same way, but a lot of animators are perverts. I guess not perverts, they're like deviants is how it's, there's a difference actually. I forget what it is, but there was one animator I knew at school that didn't at least one point while at school animate like a dirty movie of like old cartoon characters porking. Like I swear to God, I was like, I almost thought it was part of the syllabus because it seemed to happen like every single one of them I knew. Like, hey, look, you know. This is what cracks me up because like a Game Grumps the other day, like not the other day, like 2 months ago, I'm sure they were talking about like how Danny had stumbled upon dirty movies involving the chipmunks or whatever, or or the chipettes or whatever it was. Somebody had animated them and he couldn't believe that they did. And I'm like, I heard that. I was like, yeah, that's like par for the course, man. Single one of them I knew at some point. Like, look, I drew Speed Buggy humping the Mach 5. Like, what? Like, okay, good for you. Is that for class? I guess there's a reason why, like, the animation stuff was in the basement. That probably makes sense. They locked them down there like monsters. Like, here, just go downstairs and hide out and draw your weird porn stuff. You know what? Move back in with this a little bit more into these spots. I think maybe I was using the wrong brush. Just to give it a few dabs here and there. Now let's see, we'll be going to what, 10 o'clock tonight, right? Because it's this is a Sunday. And there's no Westworld anymore. Walking Dead. There's a very good chance that when Walking Dead comes back, like for the first half, you guys will probably, you know, I'll cut short on Sundays. But when they come back, I may not go back. Depends on how they handle the whole Andrew Lincoln leaving thing. But I have the feeling I'm not going back to that one. Which I've had my rants on this plenty of times here, so I'm not going to go into them again. But yeah, you know what? I need that. Oh, you know what? No. Let's do this. It'd be like a midway between them. Yeah, that's what it would needed. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Now I think I need to make sure that when it comes around Christmas time, I like to post a lot of like not normal Christmas wishes for people. Like I have a certain picture of Richard Simmons I like to send out to people for Christmas. I have Aretha Franklin's I like to send to people. So I'll have to make sure I post some of those here too. So you guys can actually at least link it, you know. On your mama. I'm a sweet, fine, sexy woman and good to a man. So I have to put my handcuffs on your mama. I know that you will understand. Going back to TV for a little bit. Not like a, you know, but I've been harping on how good Luke Cage has been this season. And again, I'll try to avoid spoilers. But first off, how did they make Danny Rand with the same actor like a likable character? Because they had that problem in fucking Iron Fist. But this one, he was like, as soon as he came in, I was like, he looks like he's different. Like the writers and directors have him better on this than they had him in his own show. Like they just got him. Maybe they just got like the relationship between him and Luke or something better. Or I don't know. But besides that, even like by the time the rest of the episode, I was like, damn it, he's a good character again. Hopefully keep that up in his next season. Then yeah, I like that. The other thing though, and I won't go into specifics, but damn, Mariah's vicious. I made her into a supervillain now at this point. I don't care about looking like a communistic kind of whatever, some kind. 'Cause you can go to hell. And if I need some help, I'm gonna pull out my chastity belt. What it is I gotta do. What's funny is, again, this is stuff I always end up stumbling upon. I swear to God, I don't go looking for this stuff, but I find stuff and go, oh, look at it. It was like something that was like about like article. It was an article of things that you think are older than they actually are, and one of the things that was on there was the chastity belt, and it, like, the idea that, like, especially if you watch Robin Hood Men in Tights, which I believe my daughter's planning to watch tonight, my oldest, not the brat that was causing problems tonight. But they they have the chastity belt in there, and you think like, oh, maybe that was actually something from back that, that time. Nope. There's no real records of them. They were not. If they were used, they were not used very often, and they're actually like much later in like the 60s or 70s they started to become a thing. It's weird. And not like that it was like, it wasn't like parents putting it on their kids. I don't believe that's how it works, because that would have caused a lot of trouble. But it was much more like a weird like submissive dominance like kind of thing. Like if you had that type of relationship that was going on. So, fun fact for you guys. I'm good for them. And as I say, I always like classing up this place. Alright? I'll talk to you about any weird bullshit. Oh, Robin, I'm so happy. So throw that down again. Yeah, I think it was definitely a mistake to try to put that on with the other brush. It works much better with this one. I just get concerned every time I pull out this little brush that I'll end up becoming like dependent on it. Yeah, it's really super tiny brushes like my smack. I said just like get stuck on it immediately. And then it becomes like the whole painting's done with it. And it takes, 90 hours to finish. I mean, I think that's why, I don't know if, like, again, if anybody goes to my website and you check out, like, the few paintings that I have up there for sale right now. I mean, all my stuff's for sale, but it's just, those are what I've been able to load up relatively easily. It's just a pain in the ass, and I don't like doing it, so it's like, I gotta put more paintings up, I don't wanna, but anyway. Actually, I'm going to throw a little bit more up here. The thing about it is that if you look at, like, say, The Last Breath versus, say, the Tulips, or the, like, where the John Heinz was sold, why the Last Breath is so expensive. Even though proportionately it's technically smaller than either one of those paintings, it basically boils down to that fucker took me forever. Little sections of it. Like, I'm talking, and when I say a little section of it, I'm talking literally like about this big right here. I should make sure so you can see it. I keep forgetting there's notes out there. Like a little shot, like right in this area of The Last Breath took me 3 hours. Now, and that was pretty much par for the course. You'd have to go to my Facebook page to find all those old streams and stuff, but it's there, and you can. There was, I think, a few that I did not because, truth be told, I was doing them under questionable time periods. We'll just say that. Like, I was supposed to be doing one thing, and I mean, I tried to keep a monitor on that other thing I was supposed to do work, because I was working from home, and I was like, I'm going into my studio, and I'll keep an eye on the monitor, and I'll try to answer questions if they come in, but I had to finish this painting that, like, I had to finish it that weekend. Like, I had to get it done. But I think the Phillies were doing back in town or something, or they were already back in town. And it was like one of those things where, in that small section though, was like, if you look at the painting, there's little still lifes all over. If you pay attention to them, you know. That painting really is set up as like a few, you know, here's 2 figure studies, and here's, you know, 4 still life paintings within it. And so there were little bits of like, okay, well, I got to focus hard on this, and I had to figure out how to paint lace like curtains, again, in thick paint. Like, it's not easy to pull off, you know. Just heard it's gonna be one of those funky things. Do you wanna get off at the function? I just heard it's gonna be one of those funky things. Yeah, yeah. Then, I should probably break out some cobalts or something here. The function. I just heard it's gonna be one of those funky things. Wanna get off at the function. I just heard it's gonna be one of those funky things. Now I am trying to avoid, like, I'm just touching little bits of Viridian over here. I'm trying to avoid it over here because this is gonna have a good amount of Viridian in it. And it's gonna make it hard to make this tree feel different from those little marks. So I think if I keep that as like a different factor between them, it'll be a little better. Just heard it's gonna be one of those funky things. Do you wanna get on? I should probably move the camera a little bit so you guys can actually... No, wrong way. So this is why I'm bad at Rocket League, like really bad at Rocket League. It's because I always get confused. Like, once I'm looking at a camera, I don't know why I can't think, like, okay, well, I know this is my right hand, and if I tell it that way, it would go, you know. But for whatever reason, I'm just stupid about it. And, like, it's the same thing when if I'm playing Rocket League, and as soon as I flip the car upside down to fly, yeah, as I'm flying, you know, I go, okay, the directions are all reversed. In my head, I go, and they're all reversed. You should know this. So if I want to go left, I should push right. But then I go, I gotta go left, and I push left, and then my car, you know, my car goes like this, and you know, whatever. Like it's like, no, I'm just stupid when it comes to that. I'm trying to work on it. I literally spend now every day that I can. I'll go under Rocket League for like a little bit. I might play like a handful and a very small handful of games, mostly just to test what I've been practicing. But most of the time, all I'm doing is I hit free play, and that's it. Like I'll hit free play and I go in. I practice a little dribbling, so I try to get the ball on top. I try to do it a little bit, you know. I'm trying to use the flatter car like a Dominus or something like that to try to get it, you know. I'm put it maybe a little bit of that because it's got a little mixture on the brush now, so it's actually changing the color a little. It's helping out, I think, a little. And then I'll then after that, after I do like a little bit, primarily I just try to make sure I can get it from like center court to the goal with a flick. That's all I'm trying to do. Like, so I get it on the ball, you know, blah blah blah, blah, and then I try to flick it off just to get it. And if it looks like it's going in, I reset the ball. I don't even wait for it to go in. But the goal then is after that I go up and I'll just go off the wall, and then I try flying upside down into the goal from the other side of the court. So like I'll go up and I'll just immediately turn it over, and then I try to make sure I'm aiming for usually the tighter corner for me, because that's why I'm thinking about like a ricochet. Then, you know, you're going to try to bounce back right into the, and I'll try to get it into there. I'm starting to pick that up a little bit. It's just starting to click a little. Where I do get confused still is when I'm like half flipped over, like if I'm trying to fly it in, not all the way upside down, but like at an angle. You know, and I guess I should be showing you guys like this. So if I'm flying in like trying to get in like that, so again that it would ricochet the ball back down towards the goal without being like right next to it, you know. And I can't quite grasp that one yet. I'm having trouble with that, controlling that flight. And I'm not even trying to do freestyling yet. My goal is just to get to the point where I can control it, whether I'm upright or upside down. And then immediately I go into house flipper and just try to relax, because usually I'm stressed out at that point. But the second I feel one of those, why are you doing that type moments from whoever I'm playing with, once I go on for like a little bit, I turn it off. I go to house flipper. And then I build basement babies. And if you don't know what I mean by that, let's just put it this way. First off, you know, if you've played house flipper, you know that you don't actually ever deal with like you have like the people that are going to buy, but they're just generic things on the side of the screen. You never interact with them. They never do anything in the houses that you are selling them. You'll sell a house to one, and the next time you'll sell to the next person, the same person. Like these guys are buying real estate, like, you know, like crazy. You know. So they don't do anything really, but sometimes you're trying to sell to a specific person or persons, and I was having trouble selling to the couple with the newborn. And so I got this one. The house was called A House with an Undiscovered Secret or something like that. And the secret, which I mentioned on here before, was you smash down a wall and there's a secret room with a chair, a nice little, you know, almost like a TV stand, and then above it is Starry Night. I took a picture of Starry Night and put it in there. And if you sell that painting, because you can't put it in your inventory, because I would, but if you sell the painting, you get like $53,000 for it. So no matter what, when you've sold this house, you've made a profit. I used that secret room, and I actually made it into like a baby's room. So here's a baby's room in the basement, you know, because the young couple has a newborn supposedly. But they want to also have rooms for expanding family members. So then I turned the main part of the basement into a room with toddler beds. And then there's a bathroom down there, whatever, hookups, and I made a bathroom in there. I was kind enough to block off the fuse box from the children, if there would be children down there. And then, yeah, I did the rest of the house, you know. And they did buy it. I finally sold to that couple. You know, and I was like, yay! I consider that like winning the game almost to me. It was like I hadn't been able to sell to them yet. I kept trying. I couldn't do it. I won't lie, it has my son a little concerned that I'm going to actually move him into the basement, and he knows that would mean I'd take the PS4 out of there. And I was like, well, no, I wouldn't just move you. Your sister would go too. And that makes me even less happy, which I find hysterical. Me in on your new vision, wake me up with indecisions, help me trust your mighty wisdom. Yes, I eke how I am not proud. Show me how you questions lead the way to my gestation. Take my hand and keep it clean. Yes, I eke how I am not proud. Easy as a chair. Poop as hard as rock. I don't like you anyway. I want to look to see how it looks to you guys. Again, I know this sounds weird, but I like to... Oh, thank you, Master Craze. Or is it Crazy? I mean, you got that extra ZE. What you got, Matt? Why did I choose this style for my paintings? It's the style that spoke to me. Once I started painting, I mean, I took a summer course at the University of Arts. And anyways, I should say, this is coming from a whisper from my buddy Matt. Yeah, okay. Why are you telling me again? I know I got it. I'm talking to him right now. Anyway, I had taken a summer course at the University of Arts, and I will say it was during a very rough summer. There was a lot of personal bullshit that was going on, which I think I sort of explained on here the other night, to a degree, involving the drummer of my band, and at the time, the original drummer, and you know, and it was all sorts of stuff surrounding that, and luckily it gave me like an escape, was to go to the University of Arts for the summer course I'd taken. And while there, I was still trying to, when I first started, I was painting, I guess how like everybody starts to paint, where you try to blend it nicely and make it, Bob Rossian, I guess. Like if anybody's starting the first time, I don't think anybody ever starts, unusual style, unnormal. God. Me fail English? That's impossible. But one of the things we eventually did was I think we were all given Van Gogh paintings. I could be wrong. I know I got the portrait of Dr. Gachet. And I had to paint a portrait of one of my fellow students in that style. And it just clicked. It was like, oh, I want to do this. Like, this is much better. I like this more than I like anything else. Like, ever. Like, no matter what, comparatively to, at the time I was, a teenager, I was still trying to do comic books, and I wanted to draw comics, but I was like, no, I like this more than the comic books, man. This makes me feel not the bullshit I've been dealing with. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, it was literally like, oh, goody, everything else is gone. Like, I don't have any of the bullshit from the band. I don't have any of that stuff in my head. I mean, I stole at that point. Literally, it was like almost color for color as best I could. I mean, the girl I painted was Erica, I think was her name. I never saw her again after the University of Arts like summer class, so I couldn't tell you. But yeah, she's a little hippy dippy, so certain things different, hat wise and everything. But yeah, I stole like almost every color I could out of the print. Now again, my commentary on prints was said many times on here. But so it started, like I said, it did sort of click with me. So I knew I wanted to paint. And originally my plan was, and I think I've mentioned it on here before, I was not intending to go to college. It wasn't until I found out that I was going to become a father that I decided I needed to go to college. Even though I knew it was a painting degree. But to me it was a matter of being the type of example to Alexis that, you know, when you're older and you have your own goals, real goals, hopefully ones that are not lofty like being a painter, that she would go to school, And I'm going to throw in a little bit of violet here into the ground area because I see little bits and dashes of it. I want to make sure it's in there. I experimented a little bit with it in high school, but the people I think that I really knew in high school that were, oh, you want to paint? And they'd see it, and they wanted to see, again, Bob Rossian type painting. Or whatever, I could say that, but I mean, like any type of realistic, quote unquote, style. And so I felt, still in high school, still a high school kid, and I felt pressure to do more realistic than I wanted to. And once I got to the University of Arts, I thought to myself, okay, now I'm in an art school, I can break free of that. And for the most part, I did. But I found myself with a lot of teachers that were not encouraging the pursuit. Like, they didn't understand why I was after this style. And I think there was something to do, like, part of me feels like there was almost like this is Vincent's style, we're going to leave it with Vincent, it needs to be just his. And then they never understood that my theory is, even now, this is just temporary. This is until I find that one little thing that I'm looking for that I haven't quite gotten yet. When I hit that point, something else will come out, and I can start chasing other dragons, so to speak. But until I hit that point, I can't get there. So maybe if they'd been with me on this journey a little bit, I might have been there already. I don't know. I can't call that one. But I kept after it, and by that point, when the teachers are telling me to knock it off, at the art school, in a sense, I went the exact opposite, and I was like, well, fuck you. Whereas high school, I felt a slight bit of pressure to conform, I guess, to that idea of, okay, well, painting is to be realistic. I mean, I tried to play a little bit with colors, but never as blatant and thick as I do here now. But then I went to the point, like I said, they were such bastards about it at the school sometimes that I was just like, I'm done trying to appease you guys. I know what I need to do, and you were all against me, so fuck you, I'm doing it. And it worked, because I ended up winning the Roman House Fine Arts Achievement Award, which is one of the biggest awards at the school, and it's not judged by the actual members of the school. It's judged by other people. So that worked for me. And part of it falls under the fact that, I really do. I mean, do I see the colors in these little dashes exactly like this? No, that's all embellishment, most certainly, of course. I'm not that crazy. I'm cuckoo, but not that much. but I do see them. I can see the colors underneath of the colors. Like, I guess, like, I can just describe it as normal people would see it. Like, the saturation level, I guess, in my eye for color is cranked up. So, for me, you know, I'm trying to show all that. You know, part of me wonders if it's due to my contacts sometimes. Like, if my contacts are causing a little bit of a weird fluctuation in the light coming through that makes it visible this way. I don't know. All I know is, like, when I chose, like, when I described, like, the breakdown, like, I'm not kidding when I tell you the world was very different than what I'm used to seeing. Like, it literally, the colors dulled out on me, and I freaked the fuck out when it happened. You know, light itself was just paled, like, barely noticeable as yellow sunlight, and I lost it because of it. So, I mean, I guess that's, in the end, a lot of it. I feel it gives me to, like, the ability to create, sometimes, I guess, symbolic imagery where there might not be symbolic imagery normally. I like to, like, you know, you can look into this tree here now. I mean, like, again, it's still early, but obviously there's a almost fiery element to these. You know, definitely back here too, little burning elements. And I dig that. I like to be able to put that, like, that you know, that spark that that maybe not everybody, but I certainly get when I'm out in the middle of a field. You know, I like to be able to put the storm clouds that were there, you know, but let you feel them moving across the field, you know. Get the wind, you know. I'm not putting the rain in because that's not what the guy commissioner he wants. He doesn't want the rain, you know. He wanted to have a little bit of nicer scene. I told him, I said, I'm not going to take out the, you know, I'm not going to make it bright and sunny because, first off, the pictures we have don't have bright and sunny in them, so I can't be sure what the light of it would look like. I could fake it, but I don't want to fake it because I don't like that. I said, but there's beauty in that. You know, there's beauty in storm clouds I think people miss a lot. And, so I think this gives me the ability to do that another style might not. I get the very strong sensation that before my artistic journey's done, I will definitely find myself into a more abstract presentation of things, but that there will be elements that still resemble natural elements. Shit, who was the, see, I would need my notebook. I don't have it saved on here. I don't have it on my keys either. If you go to it's still running until September, I believe. If you go to the Philadelphia Museum of Art, they're doing their modernist exhibit. And there's a lot of good stuff in there, and the artist's name is out of my head right now. If I remember, I'll try to look it up in my notebook real quick when I go upstairs to give the kids kisses. So that's going to be when I shut down the show, so never mind. I'll try to remember it tomorrow. But some of these guys were doing stuff that were very much almost natural. The one I'm thinking of specifically was like Yosemite Falls. And you could tell it's waterfalls, and you could tell it's probably that structure that the waterfall is coming off of. But it was almost abstract. And I have the feeling that that's more in line with what's going to come out of this. Excuse me. In the long run, like, that you'll find things that are much more, you know, where this type of sky patterning will literally blend almost right into what would have been the tree, but the colors will kind of all start to interact with each other in a way that it won't necessarily be discernible as two separate objects, or that it won't be discernible as a physical object. Does that make sense? And if Matt's still here watching and hearing that as the question, I can guarantee your brother hear this and go, fuck, he's going to follow this stupid abstract. Yeah. See, and I always had arguments about whether or not I think the problem is there's so much abstractionist work that's really just bullshit. And not to say that the original abstract expressionists were bullshitting people. I don't believe that. I believe they really were out to grasp something unique and build off of things that were, off the Post-Impressionists into Fauvist ideas, and then leading into an abstract expressionist idea. Oh, I got the guns out. Jesus. Should have some soda earlier. That's why. But I think people lost that element. And so they saw, oh, here's a bunch of random stuff, and it's selling for $10,000 or whatever the hell. Well, I can do that. And so they did it too. And they started kind of playing a con game with the art world. I have the same feeling about Marcel Duchamp. Marcel Duchamp, I find a lot of his earlier works actually very interesting. And then by the time you get to the fountain and shit, it's dude, you're just fucking with everybody, right? You're at this point, you're fucking with everybody. You're just, look, I put a urinal upside down. It's art. You gonna buy it? Sure, cool, fuck you, ha ha. I don't know. I just feel like that, And look, there's people that are fucking Duchamp experts that literally aren't sure. They'll tell you the exact same thing I just said, which is he might have been fucking with us. He might have just been screwing around with the art world entirely as a whole. And it's he probably was. But again, I think the people... There's a lot of people that fall under abstract expressionism nowadays that just jumped into it because it's sort of easy. If you can bullshit, you can do it, kind of thing. As opposed to, again, someone like Pollock or something like that, like Rothko, that took a longer route there. They didn't just jump into that, I'll point to, and I'll avoid his name. I don't want to call him out because I don't know if he's still working or not. For all I know, he's a schlub at a factory or something. He doesn't do painting anymore. I don't know, but I don't want to call him out. I had a studio mate during my time at college. Before he even gets confused, I want to make sure he knows it's not him. It's not Kevin. It's not Kevin McDevitt. He's a fantastic artist. All right, I want to specify that. But the studio mate I had, he basically flunked out from the illustration department and found his way up into the painting studio, which was pretty common. If the people didn't make an illustration, they seemed to come upstairs. He liked to paint I don't want to even call it what he painted because in case he can be on here, and I don't want him to be super offended, but definitely whatever he was doing in college sucked. I mean in the best possible way. No, he would paint very pseudo symbolic things. He was trying to be deep and was... God damn, I got the yawns. By the way, I didn't get up till 11 today, just so everybody knows. I was a complete lazy ass and I'm exhausted. I don't know why. I'll call myself out. it was one of these things, like, he liked to do paintings, and when you go, well, what is this? You know, I mean, they had things you could see. They had a tray. They have other things in there. I don't want to go into specifics again. Like, they were recognizable elements, but then he'd say, well, what does this mean? You know, what does this do? And he goes, well, I think the painting speaks for itself. And was my basic reaction usually. It was like, no, it doesn't. That's why I'm asking. You know, and I've had this kind of diatribe on here before, but, like, there is a very big pitfall when it comes to just pure abstraction or even surrealist ideas, which is that art is a language. This is me talking to people. When this painting is done, okay, yes, this is my friend's house and his barn, and he wanted me to paint this, but I'm still putting myself here, and I still want him to know what I think about the storm clouds and about his barn, and how, because he wanted me to make it red again. I was like, no, it's beautiful. You kidding me? It's old, it's rustic, it's gorgeous. I don't want to make it red, you know. So I'm having a conversation, not just with him either. Obviously, you guys here. I mean, beyond me talking, I'm having a conversation here. I'm having a conversation right now with somebody 150 years in the future, hopefully, that looks at this and says, you know, oh, I see this and this feels like that and this whatever. They can hopefully see some of this back. Like, oh, wow, he's doing these storm clouds, and like, I feel the movement. Like, you know, like this thing rolled fast, and it did. That was that cloud. I mean, this shit rolled in and fucking smashed this shit for a while. Just poured, you know, like, oh, I can feel that, you know, I can feel that movement. This guy really liked trees, you know, like, it's like, oh, it popped up on him. Like, you know, it's like nature kicked his ass. He loved it. Like, you know, like, and you can have that conversation a little easier, I think, when it comes to figurative art than you can through pure abstraction or pure surrealist ideas. Like, if you can figure out a way to do both through an abstractionist, you know, piece or through a surrealist piece, and there are ways to do it, but I think it takes that longer route that I was talking about earlier. Not just like, well, you know, Pollock did the thing where you just strip shit all over the canvas, so I'm just gonna, like, smack my brush, you know, like, I'm just gonna throw my brush at the canvas, and that's what's gonna happen, you know, whatever. Like, I think there needs to be a little more intent, I guess, and a little bit more of a means to create that type of dialogue. I mean, Pollock was definitely a chaotic soul and spoke of his chaos through his strip paintings. And I think people tend to forget that Pollock sometimes would work on a huge sheet, and then he would cut out what he thought was his painting. So he's making decisions. He's making a judgment call on it beyond just, here's some shit on the on the floor. He would do that quite often. So I think people need to become aware of those elements sometimes when they're looking at it and when they're trying to create some sort of new abstraction. You look at someone like Mondrian, who I've actually admired for a very long time. Mondrian was actually probably my first, like, you know, truly modern artist that I found myself liking, and that was when I was 7 or 8 years old. That was one of the first I was introduced to. This is true. So I mean, that's probably a great deal to it. But as I studied it more and more over time, I started to get it a little more, and it's just fascinated me even more. First, Mondrian was at one point just convinced that the world was an imaginary thing, that it really was flat, but we aren't looking at a three-dimensional element so much as we are looking at a changing two-dimensional element at every moment. So literally, this is a two-dimensional element I'm looking at now, and when I step here, it's a new two-dimensional element. There was nothing Right. And he viewed that as like the ultimate reality uh, um, depiction of the world. Now, he originally started with the ideas that led to his, famous, like, style of Mondrian, which is the black lines and the little yellow thing over here and the little red thing here, or whatever. That started with hard line drawing. Um, it has a basis in Cezanne and his measurements through, if you look at some of the later Cezannes where he's, you know, the mountain has a line that connects down here to a house over here, and it connects over here, and it's all in the same concept. It's just instead of doing more angular stuff, it was like, okay, well, this line here connects to like the coffee pot, and this one goes over here to the top of the coffee pot, goes over to the top of the stove, or whatever. And he just eventually blocked out everything else and just used those blocks, those lines that he was using to discover the painting, or the drawing, became the painting and the drawing. There was a while I thought about crossing this with Mondrian, and I still haven't written it off entirely. But it would be more of like alright, maybe the tree trunk here would be, like a hard line along that, and maybe a hard line along here, and like a couple spots. But in those individual blocks would be a specific brush pattern. So in other words, like say a small block over here would be strictly across like this one may be down, this one may be angled. Trying to be designed in a way that would actually guide the viewer to where I wanted them to. I played with it a little while. I'm not 100% sold on what I would do with it, and so that's why I was like, I haven't gotten what I needed yet, so I can't make that judgment call. It's sort of scientific in the sense that, like scientific method of, I don't want to make my evidence be forced into that. And I know it sounds a little weird, but like I would like to make sure that this is what I'm looking for in this is found, instead of assuming it's the brushstroke or the color or whatever. Like I want to make sure I've found what I'm looking for first. I mean, look, I look at some guys like, I see like stuff posted from like the University Arts page of some of the newer graduates and stuff, or I look on the Art Gallery International page I'm on Facebook or whatever group that I'm part of there. And I see people that like paint like 4 different styles, and it's like, I'll be honest, I'm kind of envious of it, but at the same point, I don't know, maybe because in my life under normal circumstances, I'm a jack of all trades and a master of none, that like I don't want to do that in painting too. I find myself always uncomfortable, the fact that I don't have one single determined skill that I can sell to, a company to get hired by. So it's like I have to be like, well, no, I can do this thing too, and I can do this thing too, and I can do this thing too. And I'm not great at any of them, but I can do them. And I wouldn't want to do that with my painting. Like, I just feel like my painting should be what I'm looking at or what I'm working on is what I'm trying to do. I guess, I don't know if that makes sense. Look, I think 90% of what comes out of my mouth doesn't make sense, and there's even less in my head that makes sense. But the the concept is that if I focus on this one style too for a while, like I said, when I feel like I'm done with it, I can just go on. Like I said, when I feel like I've found what I'm looking for. I don't want to be a guy, and I mean, I guess I have to be concerned with the fact that look, it's been 20 years since almost since I graduated. Like, I'm still painting the same style. But then again, I didn't paint straight for 20 years. It was off and on. At best, there was probably about 2.5 years of maybe, let's say maybe like 4 years of painting within that time period. Like, let me see. Hold on. Now I'll crank that up. Let's say there's 2 years before my wife and I got married, so we got moved in together. I'm sorry. And I only did like 1 or 2 paintings after we moved in together because it was just impossible to do. Then I tried breaking comics, so that was a couple of years of that. Then 2012, I had started really painting again. There was like 1 or 2 in between there, but there wasn't a whole lot. And then 2012, I started painting because I'd gotten hired at Siemens and I had more time. Stopped then in 2014, early in 2014, and picked it up. So, what's that, 5, 6 years? Next 6 years if we're counting now into here, right? So, and unfortunately there's a little bit of a, because of that, all those downtimes, there was a bit of a, okay, I gotta kind of re-figure this all out, what I was doing. And I know it's sort of prattling on into nonsense. I hope that answers your question, Matt. He probably left like an hour ago. He's off playing Rocket League again. By the way, I'm not trying to ignore your invites if you're on there still. Like the one, I don't know why it was still showing me live, because you sent it and I was like, dude, I was already upstairs in my fucking bedroom, like, asleep, and I thought I shut down everything. I didn't know why it was still showing me live on Steam. And then the other day too, was it yesterday you sent me one? And again, same thing. I don't even know if I was on it. Let's see, it was like 5:30 I think when I saw it. Well, what the time said, I should say. And where were we at 5:30 yesterday? We weren't here, right? Oh, I was outside, that's right. I was outside, trying to murder plants. All the weeds and shit in my yard I had to get rid of. So again, I wasn't on. I don't know why it was telling me as on. I played, a very little bit of Rocket League, but then I had played mostly like a house flipper. I really gotta get that the Floor is Lava game. That looks like fun. If anybody hasn't seen that one, that game looks fucking like, it looks hard as hell, but it looks fun as hell too. See if anybody's questioning. And again, I don't know how well it's going to show up on there. Hopefully the new camera will be in here within like a month or so. I mean, let's see. If things keep going at this level, I think I'll finish this painting up in 2 weeks. Alright. I mean, I'm trying to guess long, and I think that's a reasonable. So once it's all done and paid for, provided he likes it, again, that's why I don't make people commission me, pay me beforehand. Usually, it's because it's like, look, I may finish and you may say this sucks and you don't want it, and then it's mine and I can sell it online. But hopefully he likes it. But anyway, once it's all said and done, and it's all finished up, we'll I'll order that capture card, and hopefully that'll be all I need to get this thing to read this nice little camera. Or my wife's gonna be pissed off that I spent, it would be like what, almost $300 at that point, and a little over actually. And got nothing out of it. Because let's be honest, who really needs a regular video camera for no reason? I'm trying to back up so you guys can actually sort of see this. I hope it's coming through, that it looks aged a little bit more. Do you see some of the darker shades? It sort of looks like you might be able to. A little bit. It'll get better, believe me. It'll get there eventually. I'm gonna hit some of that ultraviolet, ultramarine violet. I love that. Love that tone. I'm gonna use it right down here. What I want to do is get a little bit on the brush here and get it just a little, like, I don't want it thick here right now, because it'll come too strong when I want to do it next. But I want it down there, right at the edge. Bit right there. So the nice thing is when the violet and the greens there mix in together, like they want to make almost a pitch black, but they're not quite there. So it makes like a very dark tone. And so your eye does pick up. I think a lot of people miss it, but the eye will pick up little bits of, say, greens and stuff behind, because they're right next to each other. Your eyes sort of mixing them up together, like saying, these things are close, and then it sort of re-separates them. But I think it does register that, like one of the properties of lights. Like, let's talk about this a little bit, And I'm no scientist, so don't give me, a bunch of shit for this. But the idea is that, like, some people say, like, oh man, light, traveled, hundreds of millions of years to some places. I mean, sunlight usually is only a few days, but like, it traveled all the way across the universe to hit you and almost touch the ground, and that's what your shadow is, the light, where the light stopped. But it's not true. Most of the light stopped when it hit you. And I should say it stopped. It bounced off you, for the most part. The majority of it bounces off you. That's what makes it so you can see. The light hits the person across from you's eye, and that's what makes it visible. Okay? I mean, that's, a dumbass's version of science. So, but it actually, some of it gets through you. Okay? Some of it gets through the trees, and I don't mean just through the between the leaves. It gets through it. It gets through the solid, what we think of as solid objects, because again, they're not solid objects. They're atoms with a little bit of space between them. So, that's why, like, if you really look at your shadow, if you look at a shadow anywhere you are, really, you'll notice that you can still tell, that it's a sidewalk or something. It's not pitch black, Like, it is not a black hole. You are not a black hole. So light does get through you. It does find its way around you. It does figure all that stuff out. And so that's what this is always, where I get some of these ideas about what goes into one place and goes in, I'll get a bounce back on something else over here or something. That's why I always look for kind of what I would refer to as like the universal color, the one thing that's going to unite the painting on all sides of it. And I just realized I covered up too far. Shit. Why don't you guys stop me? I was talking like an idiot and then I went too far. That's right. It should be right about there. There we go. That's fine. Just remind me where it was. Because that part's really red. So again, if you were looking at this, this barn, and it's too late to put up the other painting. I'm not going to put up the picture of it again, but there is a little bit of the light that hit those trees as it's coming back this way towards the camera lens, what took it, that got through that shadowy part, the overlay of the barn there. Yeah, the overlap of the roof. There's a little bit that got through there. So the little bit of green we picked up that kind of makes it a little muddy, but it's still sort of purple, but there's a little hint of that green sort of mixed in. That all works because of that. I hope that makes sense. It's just your brain's used to so much, your brain's primary job for handling the world is like, do I really fucking need this? No. And it kicks it off to the side. Okay? So whatever your brain is specifically wired to focus on kind of situation, it may or may not ever notice that. And it may not give two shits whether it's there or not. Like, it'll just, it'll just toss it away. But that's where I come into play. Because mine's wired to look at it. Mine's wired to see that shit. Look, would it be any use to you as a survival instinct later on? If the apocalypse comes tomorrow, am I the guy you want on your team? Fuck no! Jesus Christ, I'm like dead within the first week. A man has got to know his limitations. So let me just tell you guys right now, if a zombie apocalypse occurs, don't feel guilty about smashing my head in. I'd prefer you wait till I'm a zombie, but I won't fault you if you don't. And once more, I picture art historians in the future digging through old Twitch clips and finding, me working on this and hearing a statement like that going, he's a fucking idiot. We're not putting this shit in the museum. And if they didn't then, they certainly did after that. Now I'm like challenging them to it. Like not to do it. So take your hat off when you're talking to me and be there when I feed the trees. There's an old pizza shop near my house here. I used to go to all the time when I was a kid. I used to know the owners and everything really well. Now the building is still there. It's just no longer Venice Pizza, but it was they had a jukebox. We used to put that song on all the time. Story of my life. Well, I'm like such a blur. I didn't have much interest in school or school elections. Dreamed of a day of rock and roll organs. And a girl in the front of the classroom. So close yet so far away, she never seemed to notice the schoolboy crush wasn't just pretend. Pass by so fast. You only wanna do what you think is right. Close your eyes and it's past. Story of my life. Story of my life. So now I've taken some of the little violet that we had down here earlier. I'm just going to take a little extra on there just to make sure it's there, but just trying to pull it up a little and get it mixed in there. So you got that old dirty barn feel. You know, like the funk that would run down the, down the boards and everything. It's gonna start pulling at like the joints of it, you know what I mean? I went downtown to look for a job. Alright, so this is funny. Okay, now it says, it says I got 2 viewers, but then it lists 6 here. So I don't know who's actually here or not. I mean, one's my mother. I'm sure she's just leaving it on even if she's not actually paying attention. But I gotta say, I like the names Decaf, Smurf, and Inoark. I like those. Decaf Smurf was funny as hell. I want to ask what you're a Smurf of. What game do you play that you're Smurfing on? I'm assuming that's what you're referencing. Either that or like you're like one of like the your name sounds like one of like the Smurfs that they created in like the 4th season or something, that they were just trying to still sell toys, but they were, they had done Vanity, they had done Brawny, what else we got? Decaf. Alright, sell it. I'm not trying to make fun, I think that's hilarious either way. If you're on here still. I think it's great. Watch probably something like really deep and meaningful yet, and I'm just being an asshole. That's like, again, I'm a big fan of John Sandman when he plays Rocket League and stuff, and he was playing for a while with, was it Zach Buddy or Buddy Zach? I think it was Zach Buddy. Alright. And, he didn't know what it meant. He's like, yeah, you got like, I imagine you're like you're trying to find someone who's your buddy named Zach, and he's like, no, it's just my name's Zach, and he's like, oh, okay, well that's cool. But he had like a whole better complicated story of it, and like they'd been friends in elementary school, him and Zach, and they were buddies, but then like Zach moved, or he moved, and he's trying to find him now all these years later to hang out, and that's why I put it as hoping that Buddy Zach will find his way back to, it's ridiculous, I know. They wanna do what you think is right. Close your eyes and it's past. Story of my life. I do think that after this painting's done, I might need to take a day off or something, not from here, but from my job, I should say, some specific. I'll still stream, hopefully, on consistently. And just try to get some different reference photos for different ideas for paintings. Bev, who bought the painting, Bev and I were having a conversation today that is like, she made a lot of sense about things I need to think about as means and methods to, we'll say, increase the audience, per se. You know, like, without feeling like a complete sellout. Like, and there's elements that I could do with that, and stuff I've been thinking about for a while. Like, little things like painting something like Boathouse Row. Here in Philly, because it's like, that becomes a thing. Like, you know, like, people paint Boathouse Row all the time, but people love paintings of Boathouse Row. So, paintings of Boathouse Row can sell pretty easily. But if I also take, say, paintings of Boathouse Row, or, you know, something from like Villanova or something like that, I can donate it to these places that would then quickly sell them, but then maybe the people that wanted to buy it, that lost the bid, would go, well, I want something from them then. You know? And we had a pretty good conversation about it, and I was like, you know, she's pretty right. Of course, I may end up also with another commission from a friend of hers by that point too, so I don't know. Or one of my other friends, we'll see. I gotta find it. I gotta start finding a balance between commissions and the shit I want to do. And that's where I'm gonna have a little bit of disruption right now, and I gotta figure that out a little bit, because it's like, yeah, we just came off the Wilma piece right before we went on vacation, and then we come right back into this, and it's like, okay, that's great. And again, I'm God knows I'm not faulting any having commissions, but part of part of being this type of artist that I am is that I want to do what I want to do, and I want to hope people will want it. And that's kind of it's a difficult game to play sometimes. I mean, the first part of, like I said, like when I started painting again, especially in 2017, was that I just needed to do it. I needed to get what I wanted to do, and I needed to do it. And maybe that's why I feel they're some of the more important paintings, you know. Which is why I find it weird that I have trouble getting shows with them. Like, it's like, I feel like they're really strong paintings too. Like, not just that they're important. I mean, again, I don't necessarily like them, and that's not, again, it's something I do to keep myself moving, so I'm not complacent, you know. Like, I don't like, but I feel like there was some stuff that was done in those that really were quite unique. They're subtle and they're small, and you have to go looking for them, but, you know. Hell, even something like the portrait of Trixie I did for my buddy Bill as a commission. Or Wilma. And I'll probably do it here too somewhere. Even though it won't be quite as, and don't take this as loose looking, don't take this as, you know, this is not an insult. It's just it's referencing a very specific situation when I say it's about Bill and Mike. Even though it wouldn't be quite as personal a message to Lou in this one, because he wasn't at the place where it's referencing, but, and that's all it really is. It's like, and I've mentioned it on here, so it's not like it's new, but I'll say it again, because I never knew who's new. You know, once I start having like regular followers and regular viewers, and I know who everybody is, and they start saying, "Hey, how are you?" You know, in here, you know, say like I honestly don't know if Master Crazy or Dr. Beast have seen this before from me or not. I have no idea. I think Dr. Beast sounds familiar, so he might have been on here before, but I don't know if you heard the story or not. Like, as I always say about needing to see a painting in person before you actually understand what the painting actually looks like. You know, I say it all the time that if you haven't been to the MoMA and seen Starry Night, then you don't know what Starry Night actually looks like. You may like Starry Night's print, but you don't know what Starry Night looks like. There's little bits that are just not showing up in the prints that are just, it's the nature of art. It's the nature of paints versus photography, and it's just something that exists. And I referenced the Van Gogh show that Mike, Bill, and I went to, where we it's got a bunch of different names. It's sometimes referred to as the Harvest. Sometimes it's referred to as Field with Wagon. Like, you know, there's a couple ones. It's a relatively famous Van Gogh. Well, that's nice. This is one that you won't see, and I'm gonna try to keep this without going over it too much. The purple caught a little bit of the Viridian. All right, this light violet we made caught a little bit of the Viridian green here, and it drug it up into there when I was fiddling with it. But this type of barn is going to have all sorts of rustic little colors like that, and I think that's working quite nicely in there, and I'm going to leave it. Anyway, we went down there, like, so this painting specifically, and like I said, it's a big field. All right, like it's Van Gogh up on a hill looking down on a field. There's all sorts of fields that have been reaped, and like I said, so that's why I refer to it as harvest. And there's like a blue-violet wagon in the middle of the field. You know, it's like I said, it's a pretty relatively famous Van Gogh. You've probably seen it. But the thing is, in that painting, in the foreground, the part that should be easily spotted by a viewer of a print, okay, the part that you should be able to look at and just go, ah, I see that. Like, there is a very light lavender tone like this, probably closer to, like, right in here, close to that, that does not, and I repeat, does not show up properly in prints. Never has. It will never do so, I don't think. I mean, I even went looking on it at it recently through the photo viewer on the Van Gogh website, the Van Gogh Museum website, and there's a really good one. And you know, it lets you zoom in real close and lets you do all sorts of craziness, and you couldn't do it. You couldn't see it. And that color, you know, like, is something I always talk about. And so when I did the portraits of Wilma and I did the portraits of Trixie, I made sure that those that color was in there, just as like a thing, you know, to like for them to look at and try to find. I think it's not always. It's not entirely here. Like, there are a couple spots where it's there, but it's not. You have to go and look at the painting like this. Like, you gotta be like that to find it. And I did it on purpose, and you know, like I kind of said to Bill, like when I did it, I was like, yeah, I'm not trying to be a dick, but you need to go digging for this if you want to see everything in this painting. I said, my goal actually is the exact opposite of being a dick, in that I want him and Katie to have to look at that painting a lot, because it's you know, their dog that passed away, and it's the dog that they, you know, as much as Bill would bitch about the dog sometimes, it's like as soon as the dog dies, dude, I took it, I think, harder than they did in some senses. He's like, I just couldn't deal with it as easily. I thought I'm rid of the damn dog, but the damn dog was like huge for me. Like, he's like, I just suddenly I'm don't know what to do with it. Yeah, deal with it. And and it's the thing. I said I wanted to make it so that they would have to become active viewers with that painting a lot, so that maybe, you know, look, after a while, it's very common for someone to have bought a painting, or have it hanging in their house, and it's just part of the decoration of the house now. And it's not a fault. It's that's just nature. Like, I got a ton of my shit hanging in my house, mostly because I didn't have anywhere to put it. I had to put it somewhere. But I don't think my kids look at it. I don't think my wife looks at it. I know I don't usually. Over my parents' house, my mom's got a still life of roses I have right as soon as you come in the door. I couldn't tell you last time I looked seriously at it. It's been there for years. I don't know if they have. I don't know if they've ever walked by and went, "Oh, look at that!" Like, yeah. And admittedly, I don't think that one has that much subtlety in it, so I don't know if that could be part of it. But when it came to Trixie, I made sure there were a lot of subtle moments in there that, and Wilma too, that they would want to actively look at. But I will say, I was much more conscientious of it. Conscientious. That sounded weird. Coming to, it was much more of a purposeful moment because I wanted it to be something that, like I said, maybe they're standing in the hallway where it's hanging, whatever, and they sort of have gotten to the point where, again, it's something on their wall, It's a family photo at this point that you don't ever look at anymore. You know what I mean? And it's just sort of there, but maybe they turn their head, and where they turn their head, they see that one little weird color, be a little bit of violet. There were some other colors I threw in there that I thought were like kind of subtle, like, what the hell is that doing there? A carmine red where, in the middle of a green and stuff. And they just, like I said, I'm talking hopefully several years down the line. And they just happen to look at, like, oh, look, I remember when Brian made this painting. Like, wait, what the hell's that? You know what I mean? And then they look at it, and then they're looking at the painting again, and they're looking for, well, this is a weird color here, and like, where else is it? Like, oh wait, it's over here. And they're now going around the painting again, and now they're hopefully, I've trained Bill well enough. I gave him treats, like, that he decides to, they pull back then. Like, okay, here it is here. Okay, no, here's, okay. No, oh, I remember, we got to pull back. And he pulls back a little bit, and now he's looking at Trixie again. And that was my goal. That was what I wanted to do when it came to that one. And look, again, I know part of that is out of a mentality that unfortunately was shattered many, many years ago by that fucking purple. That was my reaction, by the way, literally, if anybody questions it. There's a couple reasons I should give that my wife doesn't like to go to museums with me. One is the amount of time it takes for me to get through a single room at a museum, let alone through whatever we're there to see. Okay, if we're there for a show, she will finish the show and start looking at other rooms before I'm out of the first room. Like, but the other thing is, maybe one of the reasons she moves so fast away from me is because of my mouth. I know this will come as a shock to anybody that's been watching this stream pretty regularly or knows me pretty well that I curse a lot. I know it's a big fucking surprise. But the thing is, when I do look at art, I find myself in this weird world between, if you think of art as high culture, kind of thing. And, like, I can talk about aesthetics and stuff, and I'm just as quick to be looking at something and talking about the meaning of, this patterning or whatever, and the artistic, the history of the artist or whatever, or the movement at the time, and then I'll drop a motherfucker as I'm looking at it because I spotted something that I hadn't seen before. And this happened a few times at the Van Gogh show, when we were down at when it was down at the National Gallery. It was one of the things that confused the lady as they were trying to sell the audio tours, because Bill literally looked at her and said, "Audio tour? I got my own and it curses." And she sort of looked at us funny, and then there was like, I don't want to make it sound prejudiced, but it's going to be prejudice. Like, later on in the show, we're coming across, the, like, wealthy old ladies. That's what they were, that are there, and they're nice pearls, and they're, they're listening to the audio tours, and then they get me next to them, and I just, motherfucker! Look at that fucking thing! Look at what he's fucking doing there! But see, I'll say this when it comes to something like that. Yes, it's crass, and yes, it's probably quite disturbing to them. Okay, that's his. I'm just making sure I get this right where I am and where I'm not supposed to put brushstrokes. The reality of it is, me and Bill got a lot more out of that show than they did, I'm sure. And two, I don't know how else you're supposed to react when literally your whole ability to see changes again. Because, now as I said, I think I've always had a problem where the saturation in my eyes has been cranked the fuck up to like 150 or whatever, Like, it just seems like everything's super bright to me all the time. But as much as it was, when I stepped out of that show, holy shit. The world was literally a different place. And we all talked about it. Like, it was first me and Bill, and then when Mike and I did it, with Bill, too, we all came out, and we were all like, dude, how do you look at the world the same? You can't. If you took your time through that show, you can't come back to the world the same way afterwards. It's just impossible. Yeah, Bev and I were talking, she was talking about how I need to go to the Musée d'Orsay over in France, and I mean, that's one of those bucket list ones, like for me, most certainly. But there's times that I wonder if I went to another exhibit or a regular museum that they have 100 Van Goghs or something. How will it change again? How will it shift on me to, change the view of how I see the things? I've gone many times before, heading to the air from my island. Now my island of the heart of the ocean. See, this is funny. You see, now if you don't know who Gaelic Storm is, Gaelic Storm was played the band like in the steerage class. I mean, they played the band. They were the band. I mean, in the steerage class of the Titanic movie, James Cameron. Okay, they were like, he had seen them at like a local, Renaissance fair or whatever, or Celtic Fling or whatever it was, and he just like asked them to come in the movie immediately. And now they have a song where they're talking about the heart of the ocean. I'm not saying they'd be like, hey, we were in Titanic, but they're saying, hey, we were in Titanic. That's right. I like some. They're a good band. I want to take a little bit of this violet color we made and put it in with a little bit of that paler blue we did before. I might need a little more cobalt violet. And the eyes on the Cheyelles. Now we had already, I think, ultraviolet, ultramarine violet in here, but I just wanted to make it a little. I want it to be close to this, but I want it to be a little change. Because there's definitely an apparent shift in the way the boards look, and it's probably due to, again, due to the, I am an infant when it comes to my sense of humor. You said duty. Anyway, I can go to about there, right? Because then this starts to hit shadowy points. Yeah, yeah. Because almost right down there. Again, where it said like all the funk and stuff running off of the paint of the, off the barn starts accumulating towards the bottom part of it, all the rain wash off and stuff just comes down here. This is not what I want to end on, so we're gonna go. Not that I'm ending here, but no. There we go. Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death's construction. In the fields the bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning. Even hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh Lord, yeah. Now this is actually technically should have been underpainting I did a while ago, so I'm just going to gently touch this a little bit back here. Because this should be actually like a yellow ochre, a little dirty once we get back here. And it's going to be hard because it's sort of blended in, so that's why I'm trying to make sure it's thin to like that yellow violet colors we were doing here. Which again, there'll be browns and stuff in there too as well that will come into play, but I just want to make sure that I separate them a little bit. Farewell to the poor, yeah. Time will tell them they have powered minds, making war just for fun, treating people just like pawns in chess. Wait until the judgment day comes, yeah. Now in darkness world stops turning, ashes where the body's burning. No more war pigs have the power, hand of God has struck the hour. Day of judgment God is calling, down their knees the war pigs crawling. No mercies for their sin. Satan laughing spreads his wings. Oh Lord, yeah. Hopefully this is visible to you guys. I really do hope. Like I said, it's not long. I just hope everybody can deal with me for a little bit longer. When this painting's done, like I said, hopefully Lou likes it. I square away the monies on it. And then hopefully that capture card comes in quick and I can get the better camera up. Yeah. The only reason I think I said it, but just in case, I have some paints I shouldn't say desperately, but I need to get them soon. This painting probably will get through most without them. I think there's one that's questionable, but I think I can get through it without it, without having to like drain my supplies of it. But no, we hear that all the time. No, that's not a song that I'm doing either. No. Just not finding what I want. Just not finding what I want out of this. Jesus Christ, come on. No taco drums. Alright, let's go manage boy. Oh, yeah. Everything's gonna be alright this morning. But like I said, I gotta get those paints first. I'm sorry, they're more important than better cameras so you guys can see what I'm doing. If I can't do if I don't have the paints, I can't keep doing it. So that's first priority. But then, like I said, once this is done, I'm golden on that, so we'll be cool with that. And I'll have that capture card, and hopefully, like I said, this computer won't give me shit about it, and it'll just pop. There we go. And I'll have a good camera. Shit, maybe I'll use the bad camera and give myself a face cam again. And I don't know why, because I don't know where I would put it, and why the hell do you guys want to see what I'm... Instead of me seeing the back of my head, look, I'm like, you know, as I'm ignoring it, you'd see the side of my face. I don't know. And then after that is, I think, going to be... I would like 2 good cameras. I don't think it's entirely super important to make sure there's something really good here. You know? Like to visualize this stuff. I mean, I tell you guys what colors it is, and from that is all you should really need, technically. But I would like you to see what you're doing, what's being done. Oh, shit, I switched out. Oh. But I think the microphone will be next to be replaced. Because I've been noticing I'm having trouble keeping it locked in. Like the cord and the mic. So I don't know whether it's the cord or the mic. I'll replace the cord first. But the mic's going to be something I'll be looking to replace too. To get it a little better. So again, the stream will be getting better. Slowly over time. When everyone blowing man, no be. Oh child, why that mean manish boy, man? I'm a full-grown man. I'm no Muddy Waters, I know. It's born lover's man. No be wooden stone. Man, child. I'm a Coochie man. I'm loving the suits. Miss. I think I love the woman. She can't resist. We're going more down to the old damsel soon. Come back, my second cousin. That little Johnny Cockaroo. All you mortals. Sitting down that line. Wasn't take 'em up to you, woman. In 5 minutes time. Ain't that a man? Spending him A child in the rolling man. No be, oh child. Why the mean manish boy, knowing I'm a old grown man. Man, miniature born lovers, man. Man, child, I'm old and stone. Man, child. Yeah, we're gonna need some of that later on. I'm not gonna go too heavy with this because again, it's almost time to wrap it up. All right, 10 o'clock. But I wanted to make sure I have a little nod, like a little note here, you know. Again, to get that aged barn feel, you know. You get these nice little, it's a little too much right there though. There we go. Just a little bit, just a dab. Just a dab will do you. Just to make it fade in. There we go, that's better up there. Alright, so let's put a little ultramarine in there. Like ultramarine blue. Yeah, that's pretty good. So we got our notes. We're getting a good start on this barn. Got done our background trees. I'm pretty happy with them. You know, we're going to focus on pulling from here up. We'll get up to there eventually. I just got to make sure I do it before I start on the house, really. But let's get at least through the barn. These trees, yeah, are these cars and everything. Then I think we'll hit up there, and then I think we'll start playing into the tree and the house before we finally hit this. This should be like our ice cream afterwards, hopefully. Watch, this is gonna be the part that drives me absolutely up the wall. I'm tired. Jesus. Anyway, you know, like it's gonna be the part that I just can't seem to find the right stroke for and the right, you know, movement for or whatever. I've said it in my head, it's going to be it. So, this is not going to be our ice cream. This will be hell on earth right here. Brace yourselves. But we're still a ways away. We got a lot of work still. But decent work tonight. Decent stuff done. Someone remind me tomorrow to post the... I know nobody's going to be here. Nobody lives here at the start. But hopefully I can remember tomorrow to put the reference photo. So again, if anybody decides they want to start living with the value and idea that I have for this channel, which is to paint along and, you know, to some degree. I mean, you don't have to use the same painting. Again, I always say if you can do something in a similar conceptual idea without necessarily being the same thing, that's even better, because then we can talk about, you know, I don't have to worry about making you guys feel like you have to copy me, because I certainly don't want that, and I don't want anybody to feel like, you know, it has to look this way. You know, like I was talking earlier, saying the Bob Rossian type, you know, well blended and stuff, and maybe I hope it didn't come across. Maybe I did make it sound like it was like not something to attain to. It's not something I wanted to attain to. If that's how you paint, dude, fucking go for it. And if you want to do this and show what it would look like under that, by goddamn all means, do it. I'll post the photo again. Just like I said, hopefully I didn't do it tonight and I forgot, and it's too late now. So again, tomorrow we'll keep hammering at the barn a little bit. Hopefully we can wrap that up. It's just tomorrow's a very light night. They don't have much time to paint, so I'm hoping the barn can be done by that, or at least almost finished. So Wednesday night we can do it, and then we'll cut through that quick. Hopefully Wednesday, if there's anything left in the barn, we'll get that wrapped up. Then we'll start on the cars and finish it. Well, this part, I'll be honest, I'm not counting the part where the car shed is really as part of the barn. I know I probably should, but it's not to me right now. It's separate because it's a very different color area. But we'll get like all the rest of that in the area, hopefully done Wednesday. And then Thursday, again, if there's anything left, we'll finish up the scraps, start on the trees back there. I think that's a plan. like I said, maybe 2 weeks from now, like 2 full weeks. So I'm not like, yeah, we'll see. Like not next on it, yeah, maybe by that point. Because now I got a reason to try to plow through it, you know. Like I said, that gets me a new camera, or gets my new camera viable to work on here. Let's put it that way. So, and if I have a better shot, so you guys can actually see this a little better, maybe I get more viewers. That's always nice. All right, and so that's it. Thank you much. Let me pull up this so I can see that everybody spoke. Thank you much, Dr. Beast and Master Crazy, for saying hello. I don't think you guys are both followers. It'd be nice if you guys click that follow button. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't want to run a guilt trip on you, but it's just nice. It helps me, you know, if you say follow, and I give a little guilt trip. You know, no, you don't get peanuts on this guilt trip. And then, you know, we'll keep working on it. So, I'd love chat more back and forth. Even Matt's like one question, even though I guess I don't see it because he put it as a whisper instead of on here. You know, I think I gave me something to talk to for a little bit. So, alright guys, have a good night. I will catch you later. See you tomorrow.